Hi everybody, my name is Ambika, and now before beginning with our session, I want to tell a bit about Unacademy. So herein, all of you need to enroll yourself with Unacademy, and the question arises, why should we do that? Because herein you will going to have daily life classes, there will be live tests and quizzes for you. There is a plan and structure course. Along with that, if you will going to enroll to one of the sessions, you can see unlimited courses from different streams as well. So go for it. Along with that, we have nation's best top educators who will going to help you out, who will going to guide you with all your doubts and queries, right? So all you need to do is you need to go to your Play Store and do download this particular app. And whatever classes are being scheduled for you, you will going to get a notification of it on the app Telegram, and the link is right here. Quest 12 CBSE Science. So go for it, guys. And for that, you can use my code, which is Ambika, to get a 10% discount. Now, with this, let's move to our session. So herein, I'm going to give you, those basic 20 grammatical mistakes which were, which maybe you were making and you never realized it that they were mistakes, right? So, and I assure you that by the end of the session, you'll be like, woohoo, like seriously, we ever made those mistakes, right? So, stay with me till the end and let's find out what all mistakes you make, right? First of all, these mistakes we're going to talk about maybe when it comes to writing or maybe when you're speaking, right? So it will going to include both. Now, the first one is your and you are. I repeat, it is your and you are. The rules for your, that is Y-O-U-R, is that it indicates possession, right? It indicates possession, that you hold it. You are the owner of it. Maybe you can say the ownership, right? So it is something like which you belong, something you belong. And you are is a short form of you and are. That is you are, right? Now, how incorrectly we say it? We say you're late, or maybe when we are writing. Have you planned anything for your weekend? So herein we simply said, have you planned anything for you are weekend? No, guys, this is simply incorrect. How you need to say is, it's like you are late. Have you planned anything for your weekend? So that is you and are, and herein it is your, right? Next comes the difference between amount and number. Now, first of all, we'll talk about amount. So amount refers to a commodity which can't be counted, like, which is uncountable. Right now, I will tell you what uncountable are, something which you can't count, right? And a simple trick is, if you want to check out if this is uncountable or countable, is that use numbers like 1, 2, 3. So, for example, can we say one water, two water? No. How we say it? I want a glass of water, right? So, if you can't use figures or numbers like one before any sort of noun, that will be called as uncountable noun. Now, with uncountable nouns, you have to use amount. Now, let's talk about number. So, number refers to individual things that can be counted. Again, those things which we can count, that means they are countable nouns, right? For example, bottles. You can say 72 bottles. You can say 1 lakh bottles, right? So herein, there's a quite a very simple difference between amount and number. So when you're talking about any of those uncountable nouns, you have to use amount. And when you are talking about countable nouns, you have to use the word number there. Now, a greater amount of people are taking care of their health. A greater amount of people? No, right? A greater number of people are taking care of their health, right? Rather, we are supposed to say it this way. that a greater number of people are taking care of their health. Herein, for the uncountable noun, you have to say here, a large amount of soil is infertile. What did we use here? We simply used here large amount. Again, soil is your uncountable. That is why we have to use here amount. Now, this is a mistake when you will not going to identify it when somebody is speaking, but when it comes to writing, people tend to make this mistake, and that is then and then. Maybe they sound pretty similar when we speak, but then yes, we do have a difference between these two. So THAN, I repeat, THAN is used in comparisons when you're making comparisons maybe between two things, right? Maybe with amongst things, right? So you have to use THAN. Not THEN is used to indicate steps or to provide instructions. So when you're providing somebody an instruction or when you're planning your schedule, your event, so at that time you are supposed to use THEN. Now, how people write it incorrectly. For example, the former captain of Indian hockey team was better than her, right? The former captain of Indian cricket team was better than THEN her, or this is far better than this. So herein we are simply making comparisons, right? We simply made here comparisons, and for comparisons I just told you that you are supposed to use THAN, and the correct will be the former captain of Indian hockey team was better than her. This is far more better than that. Now, I have just told you when do we use THEN when you are, indicating somebody, like what are you supposed to do next? Like you're giving simply instructions to somebody, right? So herein, it is about instructions or maybe advising. Add some salt in your dish, then it will taste better. So herein, we are not making any sort of comparison, right? So that is why we have to use here THEN. Next is me and I. Oh my god, I have seen, many people making mistakes when it comes to when are you supposed to use me and when are you supposed to use I. So, only simple way how you can find it out is that you need to put yourself in that situation, and when you are referring to yourself and someone else, for example, when you are there in the situation and along with somebody, so all you need to do is you need to put the other person's name first. I repeat, when two of you are there, so when you are describing about anything to somebody else maybe, so what you need to do, you need to put the other person's name first in that sentence, and then you can simply use I. Me, okay? Yeah, me and Sakshi are off to the concert. It is incorrect. Me and Sakshi, as I've just told you, all you need to do is you need to put me at the in the second part of the statement. Give it to Sakshi and I to take care of it. Right? That is also incorrect. Now, how you are supposed to say it? Sakshi and I are off to the concert, right? You first place Sakshi and then you will going to put yourself into the situation. Give it to Sakshi and me to take care of it. Herein, instead of I, you are supposed to use me to take care of it. Next is the first year anniversary. We wish everybody, right? Hey, I wish you like for anniversaries we do wish others, right? So now we use the word year as well. And that is something which you are not required to use anymore, right? You have to skip the word year itself. So how you need to say it? You simply have to say the first anniversary or the 20th anniversary, maybe 50th anniversary, not 50th year anniversary. That's incorrect, right? How you will going to say it? 75th anniversary, first anniversary, right? Skip the word year from the statement. Next is overuse of literally. So literally something we put this word, we push this word anywhere, everywhere. No matter what the situation is, no matter what we are talking about, we use this word way, way, way too often, right? Like, I mean, yes, we do, right? So, when you're simply trying to make emphasis on something, you use this word. Literally, I was tired, yeah, I just can't do that. But the actual meaning of the word literally is actually, or in a strict sense, like this actually happened, right? So in that sense, you use literally. So when you say like my mind or my head literally exploded, so that is something which is grammatically wrong. I mean, your mind cannot literally explode it. It simply didn't explode, right? So you have to skip this word literally when you're talking, when you're trying to put emphasis on anything, right? That is incorrect to do. Because literally means like actually, that this is something which actually happened. But I think your mind is right there, your head is right there. It didn't explode, right? So don't do that. Don't use it. Next is espresso. That is coffee, right? So that is incorrect to say espresso. It is espresso. This X will be pronounced as X, right? So it will be called as espresso, right? It is espresso, not espresso, espresso. Next is etc. This will not going to be said like etc. It is etc. etc. The way it is being spelled, exactly the way how you need to pronounce it. Etc. Right? Etc. No, 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 no. It is etc. etc. Next is first come, first serve, right? So it is not like first come and first serve. If you are using it without D at the end, if you're using it without the sound B or D at the end, so what you're trying to say is like, hey, you came first here, so you need to serve it to everybody. No, right? You don't need to serve the food to everybody, right? So it actually means that first come, first served. You have to use D at the end, right? First come, first served. To versus to. Now, to is used to describe a destination like from here to here, or to talk about any of the recipients, or talk about an action. For example, my friend drove me to my salon, right? So from this place to this place, your friend drove it for you, right? I'm going to grab a plate of Maggie. Going to grab a plate of Maggie. So that is your action. I mailed the homework to my professor. So you have mailed your work to your professor. Now, when you're using TOO, I repeat, when you are using TOO, so it simply means that is, that is an alternative. That is the other term for not using words like also or as well as, right? For example, my friend teaches in a school and works for the bakery too. So she is doing this work also as well as that. So instead of using as well as, we have simply used here to, and that is TOO. This plus this, right? She too is invited for our party. So along with everybody, she's also being invited for our party. So herein we have used here TOO. Next is verse comes to verse, right? So verse comes to verse. It is supposed to be used with T, right? It simply means that something has degraded from the lower point to the lowest point, right? So verse is, let's just mark it here, and from here you have like come down to the lowest point, right? So that is verse. So verse is here and verse is here. So if worst comes to worst, you can get a temporary job until you find a permanent one. So if like if things go, if you things it didn't go well as per your planning, so maybe you can apply for a temporary job, right? If the worst comes to the worst, we can ask dad to send us some more money, right? So if situation goes from worse to worse, we can ask for more money from our dad, right? So, yes, how it is supposed to be used? Worst is, let's just say, this mark, and worst is, lowest of that word, the lower portion of that word, right? So you have to use here T, worst to worst. Next is between versus among. I mean, that is very easy, let me tell you. But well, again, we make mistakes unintentionally. That is why they are called as mistakes, right? So the word between is used to refer to two or sometimes more when things are clearly separated. For example, okay, let's just say between these two parallel lines. So I'm talking about between these two parallel lines, right? Between. Among is used to refer to things that aren't clearly separated because they are part of a group or mass of objects. So maybe when we use among, we simply means that we are talking about a larger group, right? And what you're talking about is a part of that group itself. For example, so you choose between a white skirt and a black skirt. So we have used here between. So amongst the two, you have to pick only one, either this or that. So you choose between a white skirt or a black skirt maybe. But when can we use among? So when you choose among the whole lot of skirts, right? So among the skirts, you are choosing any of it maybe. So among is talking about a whole large group, right? So in that scenario, you are supposed to use among. Next is there is a cutthroat competition between the two cousins, right? So between the two cousins, there are two cousins, and there is a very bad competition between these two cousins, right? So we are not going to use here amongst because we are simply talking about two. Next is lose versus lose. Okay. Herein, the only difference, and that to a major difference, is because of spelling, right? So LOSE, I repeat, LOSE simply means to be unable to find. You are unable to look for something, you are unable to find something. So that will be called as, in that scenario, you will going to use LOSE. Or when you are unable to when you failed into something in any of the matches, games, contests, exact, etc. So in that scenario you are supposed to use LOSE. Now LOOSE means not tightly fastened, attached, or held, which is like literally loose, right? Which is literally loose. So now if I'm using this, like, he let his puppy loose, that means he let him go free, right? He simply let his pup go all free. She let her hair fall loose down her back, right? So that is wherein we have used here LOOOSE. Next is furniture. That is incorrect, guys. That is simply incorrect. You simply can't say that furnitures. It is supposed to be called as furniture. The plural of furniture is furniture itself, right? It cannot be furnitures. You cannot say that I've got 7 furnitures at my place. It's a very simple trick, guys. That if you, as I have already told you in the beginning of the session, that if you can use numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4 before any word, that word will be called as countable noun. If you can't, then that will be called as uncountable. So can we say I've got 7 furnitures at my place? No, you simply can say I've got 10 tables maybe, right? So the plural for furniture is furniture. Skip S from here. Skip it. Don't say it. Don't use it. Next is assure versus ensure, right? I repeat, it is assure versus ensure. So when you're assuring somebody, I repeat, when you're assuring, not ensuring, it is assuring somebody. So that means you're making a promise with, with great conviction, like with confidence. Okay, and to assure someone is to remove someone's doubts also. So when you're removing somebody's doubt, so you have used here assure. For example, I assure you that he is good at his job. So what you have used here? I assure you, like I give you this confidence, and you saying this with great zeal and conviction that I assure you, the way he is performing, he will be there for the job, right? Now, next is to ensure. Ensure make to make something certain, like for sure it will going to take place. When you are giving this assurance to somebody, in that scenario you will going to use ensure. So to ensure something is to make sure it happens, like you are guaranteeing for it that this will surely going to take place, right? For example, ensure you are free when I visit next weekend. So you are simply making it very clear, very certain for the other person that please you tell me in advance that you will be free for the next weekend. You have to ensure me for that, right? So we have used here ensure. Next is forget versus left. Okay. So when you're using forget, that means you have accidentally left something behind, right? And the important or the major difference of forget is that you don't know where. So when you're not talking about the place, I repeat, when you are, because you yourself maybe doesn't know about it, right? So when you're not disclosing about the place, you have to use forget. He forgot his card, right? Because he doesn't know where he forgot it. So that is why we have used here he forgot his card. Next is left. So we use leave something when we say where. I mean, you're simply telling that okay, I've left it here. So you are disclosing the place, the destination maybe, or simply you have disclosed the place that okay, I have left it there, right? So in that scenario, you will going to use left, destination or place maybe, right? He left his card in his car. So herein we have got no information that where he forgot his card, but herein he left his card in the car, right? So we know the place. That is why we are supposed to use left here. Next is informations or advices. That is incorrect to say. You cannot say, I please help me out I mean, give me some advices about it. No, you simply can't say that. You simply can't you provide somebody the information about something wherein you're simply going to say that I want to give you ample number of information. That is incorrect. Again, the plural for information and advice is information and advice. Don't try to give them plural sense, right? So simply how we're going to say it, it will be called as, it will be simply said as information or advice. No information, no advices. Simply information and advice. Next is double negatives. So, in a sentence, I mean, how we try to convert our own, translate our own language into English. So, for that, in our language, maybe it is allowed to use double negatives, but in English, we generally don't do that. So, avoid using double negatives in a sentence. For example, because we have used here, I do not know nothing. So you have used here one negative, right? And nothing itself is negative. So we are not allowed to make this mistake. That is grammatically incorrect, right? How you can say this, the same sentence, I don't know anything. I don't know anything about the event, right? I don't know anything about that incident. So herein we are allowed to use only one negative when it comes to such sentences. Herein we simply have one negative which is don't, and the other is not negative anymore, right? So in few of the sentences, majoritarily you have to use I don't know anything. Like that is how you're supposed to use it. Next is revert back or reply back. That is, I mean, super wrong when you say revert back, because revert itself means answering back, right? So don't use the words which are similar. Like revert, synonym is back. Okay, so don't do that. How we speak that incorrectly is like please revert back through the mail. So how we have said this, like revert back, dude, that is completely incorrect. Don't do that. Please reply back through the mail again is incorrect. So how you can use these words? It's like please revert through the mail, right? I repeat, you're simply saying please revert through the mail or please reply through the mail. As I have just told you, the meaning of the word revert, like back is the synonym of revert, right? Reply back is not acceptable. And the last one is does and do. So does is used with singular form of the subject and do is used with plural. It simply indicates with the, we are supposed to use do with plural form of the subject, right? For example, why does they bother you a lot, right? Why does they bother you a lot? But I have just told you we are supposed to use does with singular. The correct will be why do they bother you a lot? I repeat, why do they bother you a lot? Right? So that is all, 20 grammatical mistakes which we tend to do, which we tend to make, but then now I hope you will not going to do it anymore. And I hope you like today's video, right? And with that, I'll take your leave. And please, it's my humble request, don't make these mistakes anymore. And another thing, you need to enroll yourself with